No one's picked up the phone and called to see if Pickens is available. No trade interest is brewing for George Pickens, who is on the tag. And this is, or being slapped with the tag, going to be slapped with the tag. Pickens doesn't want to play on the tag. Pickens wants a new contract. Pickens wants to be paid probably in the $35 to $40 million per year annually range. And I believe that these two parties, Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and George Pickens and his camp, are probably something along the lines of $5 to $7 million in inconsistency. This is definitely going to be something that boils over, potentially leads to some trade inquiries, maybe some kicking of the tires, maybe a trade never gets done because nobody wants to pay the price. But we're going to talk about George Pickens. We're going to also talk about a lot of the, in my opinion, a little bit overvalued Devonta Smith takes out there in regards to his value once and if AJB is traded. And a lot of people are throwing around some pretty reckless commentary, like JSN type of season. A lot of people are going to get burned if they don't, I think, package in some risk in terms of the likely increased volume, the expected increase in volume not being there. I don't know that we're guaranteed to have what some of you are going to need in order to get your return on investment of top 3 round value of a no AJ Brown and Philly Devonta Smith in 2026. We're going to break all that down and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Let's start off with a little, we'll talk about George Pickens, and then we'll move on over to Devonta Smith. But George Pickens, and as mentioned in the chat, I believe it was even Travis had just said it, that this is kind of good news in that it sounds like Jerry's talking as though trade is a possibility. And the reason I would say that is because, you know, we read something like this and it doesn't say something like he's not on the block. I don't know what you're talking about. Trade. Why would we trade him? So Cowboys EVP Stephen Jones said that Cowboys have had no one call with interest in George Pickens regarding a potential trade. Now, he might just be answering that matter of fact, like, hey, has anybody called? No. And maybe he's answering that to kind of drive the Pickens camp into a place where they're not tempted to try and make a mess out of this to you know, trigger a trade. So there's a lot of different angles that this could be looked at and take it with a grain of salt. But the fact that we're hearing something along the lines of, you know, no one's called, and for him to put that out there, if a team had called, we might hear about that. Like, you know, the Joneses are lying. We did call. But that also could trigger, just like it triggered Travis to say what he said. Travis said, sounds like maybe the Cowboys are willing and wanting to field offers. Just the mere optics of this suggests this could be a plant. It could be Jones planting the seed out there, like no one's called. You hear me, everyone? 31 teams, no one's called yet. AKA wink, wink, the door is open. The phone is on, the light is on. And that might alone get people going, well, wait a minute. Why don't we pick up the phone and see what's up over there in Dallas? So it very much has a little bit of that hint of that, right? But it also has a negative, you know, vibe here that no one's called, no one has interest in trading for Georgie boy. And unfortunately, if that's the case and Jerry doesn't want to pay him even remotely close to the number that Pickens is expecting, and you can bet your bottom dollar Pickens was number 5 last year, and he didn't ask for a thing. He didn't say, give me a new contract right when a trade happened. That usually is about the case 90% of the time. You're expected. The team desires to sign the player to a long-term deal rather than trade for a rent-a-player. They'd rather have the player locked down. Jerry didn't. Pickens didn't complain. Pickens says, I'll bank on myself. Let's just run it for a year on the same contract, and I'll show you my worth, and I'll get more in the end. I'll bank on myself. I'll bet on myself. Hold my beer. And boy, did he deliver. Number 5, wide receiver number 5. And now we're sitting here where Jerry doesn't want to pay him number 5. He says, go do your worst and we'll judge you based on that. Jerry lied. Or at least Jerry's not running to pay him. And maybe he will. It's hard to say. The fact that we have teammates like Lamb and others saying we'll restructure our contracts in order to afford giving Pickens what he deserves. That might be kind of a way that we haven't seen that necessarily before with multiple players. Maybe an open door to a seamless and effortless extension that works for both sides. And that's kind of the hope, is that willingness of the teammates to step up and make money available will have Jerry kind of handcuffed into giving him $35 million per year or whatever. But George is going to get more than Lamb. Lamb is getting paid, I believe Lamb's deal is $34 million per year. How much is Lamb, CeeDee Lamb, getting per year? Let's see what, I think it's 34. I think it is 34. Yes, 34 exactly. So Lamb wants him to get more than he's getting. This is not he gets paid more. It's a ladder effect. And Lamb's going to get a new deal eventually, so he wants these numbers to be as inflated as possible. Lamb will certainly pass Georgie Boy the next contract extension he gets. So this is everybody rooting for Pickens to get as much money as possible game because of the implications of other contracts and lifting everybody up. It's just a big group effort. And so Georgie Boy, you can bet your bottom dollar, with everybody willing to throw money into the coffers essentially, or reconstruct their contract to allow that, you can bet your bottom dollar that Georgie Boy is going to be expecting $35 million plus. That's what JJ gets paid. Puka's going to get 40 plus, but right now we have 2 wide receivers that are getting $40 plus million, and those wide receivers include Jamar Chase and JSN. So Jamar Chase, if we go to the board, and we got Puka right here. So let's just delete all these guys and we'll put their faces on here, make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. So we'll put JSN over here, who's getting $40 plus million per year. This is the $40 million club. So 40 mil plus club. You got Jamar Chase. We're going to drop on screen over here. You got Puka Nacua, who's in kind of timeout right now, but he will eventually get it. And so then you have this tier break here. And then right here, you have JJ. So JJ's getting $35 million per year. Let me grab JJ's mug and move that here. JJ 35 per year. This is going to be the very, very bare minimum for Pickens to probably, stand at for a while. Does he fold later? Maybe. But once you have 4 $40 million players, it's got to be between these two. It's got to be 30 to $40 million. Could it be 37? Could it be 36? Hard to say. But that's where Pickens' mind, that's where Pickens' camp is going to be. That's where everyone in their right mind will be. Everybody will be saying this is the number. And if Jerry's saying 32, 33, 31, and Pickens is like, at least give me 37, I want to be above JJ because JJ's more deserving than 35, and I'm deserving of what JJ's probably deserving of last year, and so on. This thing goes. We said it from the beginning of the offseason. We will have at least 15 Pickens live streams before this conclusion, before the situation concludes. And I don't know if we're on like live stream 7 or 8 or what it is, but we're nowhere near, I think, the ending of this thing. I think that with the NFL draft approaching, we'll have at least 2 more George Pickens live streams at minimum, 2 to 3 more before the draft kicks off, which is just around the corner this month, at the end of this month. I mean, we're less than 2 weeks away now from the NFL draft. Let's ask Kruger how far off we are from the NFL draft. Hey Kruger, question for you, Palio. How many weeks are we away from the 2026 NFL draft, day 1? I think it's like...
The 2026 NFL Draft will start on Thursday, April 23 and end on Saturday, April 25th, 2026. Yeah. So from today, we're about 106 weeks away from day 1 of the draft.
106 weeks. Kruger, you are so inaccurate. I don't know what data you're getting. Tell me how that makes sense. It's April 14. The draft is at the end of this month. How are you coming up and cooking up hundreds of weeks We're like less than 2 weeks away. Where did you get the information? Don't give me an excuse and say, oh, you're right. Yeah, you're correct. Tell me where you got it. Why did you have 100 weeks? I want explanations, not just I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right. I was off by a mile, and you deserve that explanation. I looked up the 2026 draft date instead of focusing on the fact we're in 2026 already. So right now with the draft at the end of this month, we're just about a week and a half out. That was my mistake.
Yeah, no. Mistake maxing is what he's doing, Travis. Mistake maxing. Jeez, man. I swear. Kruger, I'm almost done with Kruger. I really am, because he's making me look like an idiot. If I don't double check his work, I look like an incompetent soul out here. Jeez. So as we approach these final roughly 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, we probably have at least 2 live streams of stuff brewing. And I think, Travis's comment makes me feel like this is kind of where this is going. That it's like, this is a seed. We haven't had any offers yet. Anybody out there? We just haven't. It's also bad, though, because if you are trying to get people to offer, not having offers means there's something wrong with it, right? Laws of attraction, a dude walking down the street with his girl on his side is a more attractive person because there's not something wrong with him. He's actually scooped up. He's with somebody. If a guy's walking down the street single, it's like, what's wrong with him? Why does he not have someone on his arm? That's the way. It's law of attraction. So there is a little bit of a negative here. If you're saying no one's called, well, damn, something must be wrong here. And that's the way the NFL thinks. A lot of the GMs, it's like draft day. It's ridiculous. It's not how I would operate. I would see this as an opportunity. Some people see it as well, what the hell's going on here? Why isn't anyone else calling? But I do think it will potentially, create some sort of movement. Definitely feel like it'll create some sort of movement. So we'll see what happens here with the George Pickens saga, but certainly feels like it's going to be something that we're having to address at least 2 more times. So George Pickens there. Where were we at? It was Devonta Smith, right? Devonta Smith, where's that graphic? We'll put Devonta Smith's mug up on screen, and we'll go ahead and continue on with this news right here. There's a lot of people throwing around loosely, very recklessly, phrases like JSN. We're about to see a JSN season out of Devonta Smith. This is asinine expectation that is going to get crushed. And anybody that starts drafting Devonta Smith expecting JSN numbers is going to be ridiculously disappointed. This is a good receiver. And I even hate having to talk about him negatively. And I'm not going to even do that. I love him. I'm going to continue to tell people I love Devonta Smith. I was higher on him than probably any analyst out there when he came into the league. And he's delivered very, very successful campaigns in the NFL and for fantasy. And I love Smith. I think Smith is fantastic. But when you start talking about Smith at a JSN level, the people saying that have 20 shares of him in Dynasty. It's almost like the loudest people in the room, it makes it seem like there's more people saying it. I love Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith, if he gets, let's say, 10, 20% more targets, what will he do with it? Probably deliver good numbers. Is Jalen Hurts throwing more to Devonta Smith by such a degree he becomes a first or late first or early second or mid-second round return on investment? I don't think so, because the problem people aren't calculating is that you're not using A.J. Brown. Like, what on earth makes anybody think that we're getting maybe 60% of A.J. Brown value out of A.J. Brown? We're literally ignoring him, not using him, getting maybe 60% capacity out of A.J. Brown. You bring in a Dontavian Wicks, I hate to inform you, A.J. Brown is this much above Dontavian Wicks. So much of it, I can't even put it on the screen. But the way that the Eagles use A.J. Brown versus what Dontavian Wicks can do is not as far. They're not as far from each other as you think. It's a very specific thing that I just said to you. So if anybody's going to go, he's so much better. A.J. Brown. No, Smith is so much better than Dontavian Wicks. Or A.J. Brown's so much better than Dontavian Wicks. No one's saying that they aren't. But in this system, you start expecting JSN numbers from a quarterback that, yes, in fantasy, Hurts can score 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns, be a top 1 to 5 quarterback in fantasy any given week. He's a good leader of men. He's calm and cool like Joe Burrow. Blood pressure, heart rate, everything super low in the most complex of situations. This is a guy that can win games like that. You can put it on his back and he'll win a game single-handedly. But this is also a guy that can throw for 99 yards. This is also a guy that can be deceptively inefficient to where it's trickling down to his wide receivers. This is a guy that is pissed off A.J. Brown so much that A.J. Brown is maybe going to potentially get traded. Spy, you keep saying things and you retract it. I don't know if you were trying to trash me earlier and then you withdrew your comment. I saw it. I read it. It said Smitty, something about Smitty being a diva mind gamer. I don't know what you said. You withdrew it though after you wrote it. And now you just said no A.J. Brown and Goddard. I don't know what you're talking about. You're kind of not making sense tonight. Goddard's on the team. I don't know what you're talking about. Goddard restructured his contract. Goddard's on the roster. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know how many shares of Devonta Smith you own, but you seem like it's bothering. Caps with a gifted membership. Appreciate Caps to the moon. So back to the point here. Is Devonta Smith going to go up in value with the subtraction of A.J. Brown and the addition of Wicks and potentially new offensive coordinator magic that could be in store for this offense? Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll go up. But here's the problem, and here's the rub. We're not on the same page, all of the I own Devonta Smith in 75 Dynasty Leagues people and myself. We're talking about, let's go to this board here. We're talking about Devonta Smith right now as it stands with A.J. Brown being on the roster. Let's remove everyone but Devonta Smith and clear the board. With A.J. Brown on the roster, we're talking about a player that deserves to go in the 4-5 territory. Okay, top of round 5, maybe 4.12 if you're feeling frisky, but very much a guy that you could easily pencil in at 5.1 to be a very consistent second wide receiver on his team. Very complicated situation with Barkley likely to bounce back and then lean on the run. They've got Goddard, Smith, and Barkley, and it's, Wicks. There's still a lot of mouths to feed. This is not like it's only Devonta Smith with a quarterback that can throw 99 yards. He could throw 175. He could sometimes throw 200 or 300 on a rare occasion. But you're needing this offensive coordinator to come in and air it out when all we're hearing is they're going to get back to the run, which might balance things out. But does no A.J. Brown, who they didn't use anyway, adding Devonta Wicks and maybe a rookie wide receiver that takes a lot of the swing away from Smith? We're hearing a lot of rumors that the Eagles want to move up and grab Jordan Tyson. So if Jordan Tyson ends up getting drafted by the Eagles, or they take a Denzel Boston, or they grab a Casey Concepcion, or they potentially get a Chris Bell, who's an A.J. Brown replica, then that kind of squashes some of the increased value that Smith is going to get. But if Smith is a 5.1 now, let's call it, that's I don't want to say you can't put him here. You could argue that. You could also argue that here. But if he's in between 5.1, no A.J. Brown does not vault him here. Does it vault him here? 3-4 turn? Sure. You're drafting at 3.11, 3.12. You take him at 3.11, 3.12. No one's taking a lap. That's fine. That's where his new value should be. 3.12 to 4.1. If AJB is out of Philly. But I'm hearing this. I'm hearing Devonta Smith, second-round player. Maybe you draft him at the end of 2, top of 3. I'd take him at the 2-3 turn is what I'm hearing people say. You're going to be extremely disappointed. He'd have to have the most amazing season, which he could. He could deliver, I guess, 2-3 turn value, but that's optimal return on investment. You don't draft for optimal. You draft him here and you hope for a 2-3 turn player. You don't draft him at the 2-3 turn, his ceiling, and then if it doesn't work and he finishes as 4.4 value in retrospect, then you're down and out. I think it's going to be Smitty, you right, a little off tonight. I missed the Goddard restructure. Smith, a mid to low third rounder. Well, it's good that you're recognizing it, but you do seem a little off. I saw a little bit of trash talk from you, and then you retracted it because you didn't want to stand behind it because you thought, oh, no, this is going to end badly, which you were correct. It would. So retracting it was probably a smart move, I suppose, but then you come out with the wrong information, and it's just piling on more bad on bad. But admitting that you're off tonight's a good step in the right direction, Spy. Instead of continuing to go down a road that it's not going to be a very good one. This right here, Smith, don't make the mistake of drafting him at the 2-3 turn and making him a second drafted player. It's not what you want to do. Don't listen to the people that are going to try and perpetuate this narrative that, hey, our dynasty values in Smith will be okay. This very much reeks of the Waddle, the Michael Pittman Jr., the Deontay Johnsons. The time and time and time again, I've screamed from the rooftops, do not overvalue the player. Do not overvalue Waddle even now in Denver. Don't overvalue Pittman. I said that for years. Everybody told me how wrong I'd be. I'd pay. They'd see. Everyone's going to laugh at me when Pittman's an elite stud wide receiver 1. Deontay Johnson, Smitty, he's so good in targets. He's so commanding targets. You're going to pay. Wait till everybody laughs at you and you see Deontay Johnson go to the mother freaking moon. This is the best version. This is the best player of all of those guys. This is the best player of all of those guys I just named, but he's not an elite wide receiver 1. Stop comparing him to JSN. Stop telling us how many shares in Dynasty you have. Dial into the show. We're talking Devonta Smith and George Pickens. So phone lines are open. Dial in, dial in, dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in, dial in, dial in. We're comparing Devonta Smith to Pittman and Deontay. I don't think you're paying attention. You might want to start over. Scribbles from the beginning and absorb. Travis, you're live.
Hey, what's up?
Yo.
So I think another thing, you may have mentioned it, I know we talked about it before, was if they trade AJB, they've already brought in Wicks and Hollywood Brown, but they honestly might become my favorite spot, like landing spot for Jordan Tyson. If he falls, or they may be willing to move up. I mean, Howie Roseman has showed he's not afraid to move up in a draft, move back in a draft, do whatever he needs to get his guy. So they could easily replace AJB with Jordan Tyson, or they could still, even with Wicks and Hollywood Brown, sign a Diggs, a Debo, a Jennings. So, it's not automatic that Devontae is going to get 150 targets or something like that just because AJB's gone.
Yeah. I just hope people understand what's being said, because it doesn't, even reading the chat, I can tell people are not necessarily fully paying attention. They're just, I mean, Spy, it's the first smart thing you said. A lot of us, even though you spelled a lot wrong, a lot of us are off tonight. It does seem so. But when you have people coming in here and arguing like Scribble's trying to find a hole in this argument here that's literally locked tight. Let's see here. Look at this old mock draft. Locked tight right here that Devonta Smith is a fantastic 3-4 turn player. If you're sitting here saying anything in the chat like you are, Scribbles, or anybody else, that this is what we're off base here, what do you think's going to happen? What is wrong with a 3-4 turn value for a guy that gets an increase in value? Like, how is this even remotely close to uncomfortable for you if you're a Devonta Smith truther when you're being told 3-4 round value, 3-4 turn? I'm just curious. The phone line's open. Like, if you're going to run your mouth in the chat and not know what I'm saying or understand it, dial in and let me know why this would be off base. This is expecting everything.
I think you might be talking about production,
but
that of JSN type.
Well, but you're arguing when the whole point, not you, Travis, but you're saying things in the chat when the whole point has been 3-4 slotting. So I don't understand where there's any sort of pushback at all on it, as if it's off base. Like this is where I don't even think this is like super safe. This is aggressive, 3-4 turn value. Yeah. I don't think that but anybody having a problem with that he can return this, and I personally would rather have him in mid-4. And when push comes to shove, I don't think I'm taking him 3-4 turn if the players I believe will be there. But this is certainly a very solid place to put him. And yet I see some strange commentaries in the chat. You know, like I don't get where anybody in the phone line's open, dial in, I'm waiting, where you have a problem with this. I just don't get it. Why on earth anybody would ever put him higher than this? It doesn't mean he can't deliver. Are we drafting Harvey at second round value because he could produce second round value? No. We're drafting RJ Harvey at 6, what we figure his ADP was yesterday, 6.5, 6.7.
Yes.
So when I say to people, make sure when you're drafting Harvey, guys, when you're drafting Harvey, take him at the 5-6 turn at the earliest. Does anybody understand that the thought process is that we're trying to get a second or third round return on investment? Like, what do we don't take, this is the problem when values spike, when somebody goes through a change in scenery or their situation changes, like in this Philadelphia Eagles situation where A.J. Brown might be moved. If people gravitate toward the ceiling value, like 2.5 or 2.8 for Devonta Smith, you are missing the whole opportunity that's right in front of you. Like, and if you say, well, then I won't be able to draft him because a lot of people are going to take him early. The opportunity then becomes all other players move down slightly. You got to optimize this thing and not try and grab him at the peak of his ceiling value. That's not how you win fantasy football. So again, I ask anybody that has a problem with 3-4 turn value, which is what this entire show for 28 minutes and 32 seconds has been about. If you're arguing at all in the chat about this, the phone line's open, yet not a single person is called. TikTok. I'll be honest. I'm not in love with the top part of this value. I'm more liking this when I say 3-4 turn. I'm more liking this fourth drafted player value. I could find 10 players I want at mid third round value over Devonta Smith every time I'm on the clock. And that's not to rip his upside. That's not to suggest he can't be a second round player. The same thing goes for Hendy. Where we drafted Hendy? 5th round? Did Hendy fall in the 5th round now? Is his ADP there?
Let me see. I got the rankings right here so I can check.
If Hendy's a 5th rounder, I'm not drafting him in round 3. I'm not drafting him at the top of 4. I won't dare.
And end of 4, 47.5. Yeah. So basically the last pick in the 4th round.
I'm not taking him any higher than I have to, but that's the whole point. That's what we're talking about here. It's wild, man. It's wild. All right, Michael from San Diego, you're live.
What's going on, Smitty? To talk about the other Smitty, Devonta Smith, I think you are right. People need to temper expectations, but I'm a little bit higher on him than you are. I think 1,350 to 1,500, 1,500 being best case scenario, everything goes right. But I'm leaning 1,350 and like 10 touchdowns with no A.J. Brown. I think people are underestimating him a little bit.
1,500 is crazy.
Yeah, I think people are underestimating. I said 1,500 best.
I know, but that's
scenario.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, best case
that's
scenario.
Not, but it's not the best. But like you can't just loosely say best case scenario, and then when we say 1,500 is crazy, you're like, no, I'm not saying 1,500. You are. I mean, you're saying
that's a top three. That's a top three receiver.
That like 1,500 is madness.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think 1,350 is where
that's
where
probably
I'm
bro.
saying
1,350 will be his ceiling. That's what I'm like. You're getting 1,100 to 1,350, let's call it, and then on top of that, like even if he gets you. Let me merge in Hammer. Let me merge Hammer in real quick. Hold on one second. Okay.
He had 1,000 yards with everything going wrong. So to say he only gets 100 more yards is kind of
but we're also again, you're also not drafting him at his ceiling. You need to draft him. Maybe he gets 1,350. Maybe he does somehow squeak out 1,400
and 10 touchdowns.
But yeah. I mean. If we think Hendy, what do we think Hendy can do? We think Hendy can have 1,500 total yards easily. Like if he gets a little more work, 14 touchdowns total, 55 receptions. That puts him in like the second or third round, let's just say, spitballing it. And we're not going near the third round with Hendy. We can't. So you can't draft Devon. Even if, let's just say you thought that 1,500 yards was capable for him. You can't draft him anywhere near the ceiling or you're ruining the opportunity. What I'm trying to tell all of you pro Devonta Smith, everyone's a hater if they don't love him in the top 2 or 3 rounds, people, is that you're inching toward his ceiling because of the hype and you want to own him. But sometimes when a player's value climbs too high and their current upcoming ADP is miles away from where it should be, you got to let him go. Because they're going to move so many other players down when these things happen. And sometimes a movement like this, if Smith were to go from 4.10 or what's Smith's ADP right now, Travis? 4.12, 4.
It's he's going.
This is
39.7.
30.
So the third pick in the fourth round.
So he's climbing as we speak. Everyone's getting ready for it. If you put him in the second round, he deserves to be right around that ADP with the A.J. Brown departure. And you can go a little higher. Like I said, 3-4 turn. I'm going up 3 picks. But the problem is no one's going to go up 3 picks. Everyone's going to go up 12 picks, 10, 12 picks. And that's going to price him out of the likelihood of having a less than optimal season, probably by way of his quarterback. A new offensive coordinator, run through Barkley, run. Years of underutilizing the weapons. Just because A.J. Brown leaves doesn't mean Devonta Smith gets a 40% target injection. Because Wicks is going to take probably almost everything that A.J. Brown was getting. That's how much they underutilized A.J. Brown.
So that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree a little bit. I think. And I've watched Devonta Smith closely. He's one of the players
I have too, bro. I do this for a living. Just all due respect, but I do this for a living.
No,
I watch it every day too. I watch every play. So it doesn't do anything for me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you. What I'm saying is most of the time when A.J. Brown didn't play, all Smith needs is an increase in volume. If you really just watch the Eagles, his biggest issue is his target share is inconsistent week to week. So, yeah, he's boom bust with A.J. Brown. You take A.J. Brown out the equation, he's clearly the wide receiver 1. Yeah, Wicks is going to soak up targets. Hollywood's going to soak up targets.
He's wide receiver
Goddard
where was A.J. Brown as wide receiver 1, bro? And you could say, well, yeah, but you take away one, then it's not that much more volume to go around. Does it get dispersed a little bit differently? Yes, but there's no increase in volume. Like the volume.
No, they had eight targets separated Smith and A.J. Brown last year. AJB.
Yeah, I'm not going to go based off of last year. I think last year is the worst year I've seen out of that offense. With AJ, with Smith, with Barkley's been there 2 years. I imagine they have to throw the ball a little bit more. You can't lean on Barkley like you did in 2024. I think Barkley will be better next year, but that's unrealistic to think he has.
It's also a lot of unknowns, bro. You got a new offensive coordinator. That's great. Doesn't guarantee anything. And you got Sirianni is obviously, in my opinion, a bigger drag on this whole thing than people realize. I truly wonder if we're going to see the bounce back that we think we're going to see it from the Eagles this year. I like the Eagles, but I think if there is a bounce back, it's going to come by way of a lot of Barkley, a lot of Hurts. And let's not forget that it's still a crowded environment. You still have Barkley catching passes. You still have Goddard. You still have Wicks. It's not like it's wide open and it's Nico Collins and that's
I don't think they're done.
And like Travis said, and like I've said,
so I'm not one of these guys saying 1,800.
And like I said, well, you 1,500, you are one of those guys because that's about the highest we've heard. But like Travis said, and like I've said all week, they're going to draft somebody. Like Denzel Boston and Wicks are going to consume at least what AJB
but that would hurt Hollywood or Wicks. I don't think that hurts Devonta Smith. I'm not worried about Denzel Boston coming in and being AJ Brown.
What if it's Jordan Tyson?
I still think it's Devonta Smith's wide receiver 1 role. I don't think Jordan Tyson walks in better than Devonta Smith. With him and Hurts' history as well. With him and Hurts' history as well, I just don't see Tyson just coming in there supplanting Devonta Smith as wide receiver 1. That just seems pretty.
Bro.
No, but target.
Bro, Tyson is a stud, bro. If he comes in, he's absolutely taking a majority of what AJ Brown was getting. I'm not saying all of it because he'll have a rookie up and down type of season. Every rookie hits walls. But, bro, this is everything translates immediately.
So I'll temper expectations on 1,500. You're right. 1,500 is a lot. I genuinely do see 1,350 to 1,400 with a good season with Devonta Smith. Yeah,
so
I think he has a higher
floor.
Wide
receiver. So to put it into context,
I don't think
top 5 wide receiver.
I think he'll be a low-end wide receiver.
You said 10 touchdowns.
He's wide receiver
1,300 yards.
I think 10 touchdowns.
Okay, so what? Hold on, let me let Hammer talk in 1 second. But what Travis just said is you're talking 1,350, 10 touchdowns.
I did the
math.
That's
top 5, and that's not.
Well, how do we do math
That's not going to happen. But what I would say though is, can he be a low-end wide receiver 1 in a fantasy? Certainly could be. You're definitely drafting with the expectation that he doesn't get you guaranteed 1,310. Maybe you're drafting him at this 3-4 turn like I'm suggesting and have not wavered from once, yet people are arguing with the take for some reason. So what you're telling me is you take him at the top of 3 or bottom of 2, or at least the middle part of 3, and even taking him at the middle of 3.
I'm not touching him in 2. That's
okay,
crazy.
But then why are you even arguing anything? If I'm saying 3-4 turn, I don't understand what the problem is. And if you're taking him, let's say, at 3.7, 3.5, like that's a very, close degree of difference. I don't know that that's even something. That's what I'm saying. The amount of people arguing this is wild. There's certain topics that I do where it rubs people the wrong way because they're not hearing that the person's going to be a superhero. Because I'm not saying he's a superhero, everyone gets upset. But yet, no one can tell me why I'm wrong putting him at the 3-4 turn.
I didn't call in to say anything about the 3-4 turn. I wouldn't take him at 2. I still understand value and understand that, hey, if he gets to a certain price point, it's not worth the risk. What I'm saying is I think he will pay off. I think he will pay off that price point.
At what?
I'm not taking him there.
At what price point?
3rd round, mid-3rd round.
Okay, so we're really talking about 5 or 6 pick difference here. That's not a big deal. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand but 1,500 yards is what you started.
So what are your projections? 15. I will admit right now, 15 is very high. So that's why I adjusted 1,350 to 1,400. I still think that's realistic. When you look at all the seasons he's had over 1,000 yards, he becomes the wide receiver one, that's what.
All right, let me go to Hammer.
I think that's going to be top 5.
Let me go to Hammer.
There's a lot of
receivers.
receivers.
Let me go to Hammer
Travis.
real quick.
Let's
go to Hammer real quick.
Yeah, just look at BTJ's numbers, Mike.
I have him at wide receiver 20. Really not even that. Actually, if anything, his value goes down to me. Now drawing the number 1 corner every week, and the environment actually gets worse. The way I'm looking at it, how Philadelphia operates. So now he's drawing the Pat Surtains every week.
Look,
I can easily name 19.
You should look at what he did to Pat Surtain. Not to cut you off, man, but you should look at his film versus Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain will tell you himself. Sorry.
Using it as an example, I guess I can name 19 wide receivers that I would take over him without even hesitating. It's just, I don't see how this improves at all. Like, honestly, I think it's worse for Devonta Smith.
And Hammer has a point. For anybody who says that's crazy, it gets worse for him when it opens up. I mean, he makes a valid argument that, just like I've argued with Michael Pittman, everybody wanted Pittman to be the one. And as I said, and this is where Scribbles took it and ran and tried to think of, like, just pay attention, Scribbles, because I'm explaining this very clearly. No one's comparing anybody. I just said, of all the players that ended up becoming less valuable, I know you're not talking to me, Scribbles, so I don't know if somebody said something ridiculous like Smith's not even good at all, but you say, I swear so many of you will never watch Smith play. Like, it can't be about what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is you're drafting with the 3-4 turn. But what he's saying is true, Hammer, and to some degree, that there are times where a wide receiver, like I said, Pittman would be trash. Devonta Smith would be trash. Deontay Johnson would be trash. Once they had to become ones and they wouldn't survive. I'm not saying Devonta Smith won't survive. He is definitely better than all of those. And I said that 3 or 4 times. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Not comparing Pittman to him, but Pittman did not deliver upon the expectation when he was leaned on like everybody assumed he would. T. Higgins and Devonta Smith are one and the same to me. They're both so good in their roles. Now, could they survive outside of being the number 2s for their offenses? I believe they would, but they're still going to be very low-end wide receiver 1s that flirt with 2s, because they're not necessarily built to be that alpha number 1. They're dominating when they're getting secondary coverages. They're dominating when they're put in a position where they're not the focal point of the offense and they can break away and break free. And they can also do well when they're number 1s down, because defenses aren't planning for you all year long in the offseason.
Right,
it's a huge difference. When AJB misses 4 games and Devonta Smith goes out there and does well, that's not a testament to that. If it was the entire offseason, would be the same kind of way that Smith would be, matched up against. Sometimes AJB goes down, the defensive scheming goes, okay, they're going to go with Barkley. Let's really try and stop the run this week. And then Devonta Smith has a good game. Like, you got to understand, there's a lot of other dynamics at play. So I think it's not crazy talk to say that things go down. I don't necessarily agree that they go down. I think they go up. So Hammer's right to have that opinion, though, because there's a lot of proven times that goes that way. But I certainly don't think his take is crazy. I'm moving him up. I'm moving him up from probably 5.1 to 4.1 in my overall ranking. But guess what? That means I might not own Devonta Smith much at all this year. And I'm fine with that, because Smith moving up moves 1 or 2 players down. Sometimes a wide receiver moving up can bump a wide receiver down multiple spots. Not just everybody moves down 1 spot and slides in. It has a strange effect to the pecking order. And sometimes only so many wide receivers will go in 3. So if Smith were to climb in 3, it would move maybe a wide receiver down 2 or 3 ADP spots. Go ahead, Hammer, and continue real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Lad McConkey all day long over him.
All right, let's try.
Let's
try that.
I guess when you're saying, like, when you say he finishes, like, where are you saying he's going to finish? Top 5 receiver, top 10?
That's my problem, is that you put the numbers on him, but then you say he's not a top 5. Because BTJ, I put it in the chat, he had 87 receptions, 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns. He was wide receiver 4. Now, you can say years vary, but, I mean, that's still a top 7 wide receiver.
Well, let's go through the numbers. Okay, so I assume Mike, JSN, Chase, Nakua, Lamb. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yes,
okay.
I think the issue,
hold on,
if I may respond
hold
to
on,
Travis
hold on.
really quick, I think
hold on.
Okay.
Neighbors.
Yep.
Neighbors are Devonta Smith. Wait. Okay.
Of course,
well, I'm just going through the motions here. JJ, of course. JJ,
yeah.
of course, St. Brown. Okay. Nico Collins, I assume, right?
Yeah. I want to see.
Come on, bro.
I want to. I'm not a big Nico fan. I'll put it that way. I'm biased.
All right, well, put him to the side then, though. Keep going. Olave, Pickens.
All right, London.
Yeah, I'll take London. This is with no AJ Brown, correct?
Yeah,
we're talking
no AJ Brown.
Brown.
Olave,
right?
Olave.
Yes.
Okay. No.
So you're picking Olave?
No, I'm picking Devonta Smith over Olave.
Okay. I mean, only injury could make me say okay. If you're predicting injuries, fine.
I'm thinking Pickens. Concussion, and I'm thinking they draft a Carnell Tate, and then
George Pickens. Come on, man. He's number 5.
Yeah, with Lamb missing a month and a half of football, I'm gonna go Devonta Smith.
You gotta be kidding.
I'll have the conviction here.
Yeah, you definitely got the conviction.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. This exercise I thought was gonna have you saying different things, but it doesn't prove your case anymore. But
Buka.
We already got.
Oh, I mean, we're taking. Puka.
No, I already got Puka on the screen. Okay, Rice.
Yeah, Rice.
Bro, you were this close to getting the hang up button. I'll tell you that right now.
I said Emeka Egbuka. I didn't say Puka.
Oh, Egbuka.
Oh, I wouldn't. That's hard. I'd rather have Smith next year. Next year.
Disgusted.
Yeah, he can't stand him.
Next year.
AJ Brown in New England or Devonta Smith?
Good.
Come on, bro.
I think Devonta Smith's going to take a step, man. I think you guys are underestimating.
How do I not hang up on him?
I'm closer to.
How do I not hang up on him? How do I not hang up on him? Bro, you put. That's why I haven't hung up on you yet, but I've been real close. You put AJ Brown in New England, Olave, Nico, George Pickens, Egbuka. I'm trying not even to go to Lab McConkey's. I'm trying to just stay like way above. Like Devontae Adams. I mean, I could understand somebody fearing injury, but like obviously you're not picking Devontae Adams, so we'll throw him on here. There's too many names here.
Mike Evans.
Oh,
I was thinking 10 to 12.
Mike Evans.
10 to 12
Mike Evans
at best. So I mean,
Mike Evans.
Right. No, I don't trust that.
Bro, you have Devonta Smith over all of these guys on the bottom row. You got to be kidding me. You know what? I take it back. I take it back. You are going to take him to the top of 3. You literally are.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. What I was going to try to say to Travis with the projecting part was we're going to have injuries. It's hard. Like, yeah, BTJ was number 4 that season, but I'm sure we had injuries that also
I know I said that
attributed to that.
I mean,
yeah, so it's kind of tough to
guy.
just play the, well, you look at the numbers game. You know, it's kind of tough to say I'm going to look at the numbers from prior years because I think all these guys that I would take over
any
Smith are
year
going to have
that's going to
better
be a
numbers.
top 7 guy. Any year those numbers are going to be top 7. I would almost.
Yeah. So
you know what? Unfortunately, is the debate here.
Yeah.
And I know you don't agree with this, and this is where we're just gonna have to disagree, agree to disagree. But your debate should be with Terry McLaurin. Your debate should be with Lad McConkey. Your debate should be with J-Mo Williams. Your debate should be with T. Higgins. Your debate should be with Ted McMillan. Ted McMillan is the perfect comp. I don't know how
I can debate Adams.
You're getting into a crazy territory. Yeah, if you want to throw one of these guys off, sure. But like, bro, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players that honestly, again, 1 or 2, sure. But he should be ranked no higher than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
It's a
12,
projection.
13.
I get it. I
Let's
get it.
call
I'm
it
going to sound
14.
crazy. It's
Wide
a
receiver
projection.
14, 15. That is top. That is high-end wide receiver 2 potential. But you're putting him. You're putting him in the ones.
Yeah, I think
No,
that's
you're
fair.
no. That's if you do what I'm. If you rank
it's
what I'm
not.
saying,
Not with those
bro.
numbers.
You're not hearing me.
I think no. What I'm saying is, I hear you. I'm saying at his peak, yes. I'm not taking him over the guys on the bottom row. No,
you're not taking him over the guys in the bottom row now.
No, I mean the bottom row: Brown, Olave, Collins, Pickens, Igbuka. That row. I'm not talking about.
I know you're not. So you are taking him above these guys or not on draft day? That's what I'm asking.
On the bottom row, yes, I'm taking him over Brown,
let me
Olave,
rephrase
Collins,
what
Pickens,
let me say what I'm
Igbuka.
saying because you agreed with it, but you didn't know what you were agreeing with. I said you should be ranking him as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 to 15. Let's take 2 of these guys on the bottom row off. Because I can understand an Adams argument, or maybe it's concussions with Olave, or you think Mike Evans gets hurt. So we take 2 of these guys off. That's wide receiver 14, maybe 15. That is a high-end to middle range wide receiver 2. I don't care if you push it to the high end. That's fine. Take 3 of these guys off. That is where he should be valued, ranked, expected. You hope for more. But the fact that I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. You're ranking him as if we would rank Hendy. We love Hendy, right? Can Hendy be top 5? He could be. But are we ranking Hendy top 5? Hell no. We're not ranking Hendy in the top 10 running backs. But instead of following that recipe here like we would with Hendy, where we'd say Gibbs, Bijan, Love, Genty, we put 5, 6, 7, 8 running backs up here, and then Hendy is probably behind about 4 or 5 guys here, but with the upside to be there, you're drafting Hendy in this example with the top tier running backs. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You're protecting yourself zero. For you to be drafting, like you just said, on draft day, you're drafting Devonta Smith right after these guys. You're paying a price that's equivalent to drafting Hendy in the second round. Or top of 3, which is maddening, even though we think it could happen potentially. Like you're that's my point.
No, I'm not saying I would draft him there. I think that's where he's going to finish.
No, I said on
Michael, what I would do is the same thing that you do.
I said on draft day, I specifically asked you the question. On draft day, are you taking him above these guys? You said above those guys, yes. See, this is
okay. I guess maybe I misunderstood. What I think production wise, he outperforms those guys. What I would do is what you talk about all the time. I would take another player in, let's say, the third round or the second round, and then draft Devonta.
Big wasted
process. But this is the process of doing that. Is you're laying out the receivers.
This is a big waste of time. Michael, and I love you, and I'm not mad at you, bro. I never care. Like, this is all a debate. It's good content.
Fine, man. You can
big waste of time to go through that motion when all you're doing at the end of the day is agreeing with me. 3-4 turn.
I don't think you have 13, 15. You don't have 13.
But Michael,
15,
listen to me. 3-4 turn. The receivers we just mapped out, you said you don't know that you're actually going to draft them over those guys. You add all those wide receivers up. We're talking about 15, 16 wide receivers. And you're talking about Devonta Smith being more 3-4 turn. You had the running backs in. You had a couple tight ends. You had one quarterback in. All of a sudden, he's a 3-4 turn player. And yet we're breaking it down as if you're saying he goes higher, but then you're like, no, but I mean, I hope he's higher now, but I'll draft him lower. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. What do I need to say? 53 minutes into the show, and I said Devonta Smith could finish here. I don't agree with your 1,500 yards, but 10 touchdowns, 1,300 on a peak optimal season, he could finish as a 2, but you can't take him there. And for some reason, as I've just proven, people don't hear what I'm saying because they don't hear me call Devonta Smith Superman, and then we waste 15 minutes going through rankings for you just to agree that he belongs at the 3-4 turn. Because that's what you're saying when you go back to this and you tell me, no, it's not. I think he'll outperform those guys. But when it comes to drafting them, I would draft the guys on the bottom row ahead of Devonta Smith. Where's Where's my list here? So this list we just mapped out, you just said that on draft day, though, you're going to take these guys, majority of them before, or you go for a different player. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying the whole show.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll take a lap, man. I'm more of a dynasty guy. I do understand
Spy.
redraft. I'm not crazy. I'm not gonna take Devonta Smith in the second, and I probably wouldn't take him high third. What I'm saying is I'm okay with mid third. But
Spy's
yeah,
putting everybody on his shoulders.
It is what it is.
My whole point here, and let me go back to Hammer, and then I got 2 super chats from Hammer. My whole point is people aren't listening to what I'm saying, because as soon as they get hit, this is like politics. It's ridiculous. You say something, people don't hear it because something triggers them. And I'm literally saying Devonta Smith, you hope for more, just like Henry or Hendy. You hope for more, but you have to take Hendy in his place to protect yourself. And Devonta Smith, while he could return second-round value, which I've said from the beginning of the live stream, you can't draft him there. And what my problem is, everybody's going to, because they're going to get really, or not everybody, but he's going to climb into the top of 3, the 2-3 turn. This is what my entire live stream is about. He falls to the 2-3 turn on draft day for a lot of you, and that's a mistake, because now you're taking him, as we just mapped out, above players that you may like him to produce above this, but you can't expect it. And, you put him in this tier and you draft him to be in this tier, you're making a grave mistake, because things got to go to perfection for you, for just absolute perfection for you to get your value back. If you put him after Rice or anywhere in this group of wide receivers, is just maddening to me. Doesn't mean I hate him. I hate coming on doing this live stream because I'm tearing the man down, it seems, but I'm not. I'm literally calling him a 3-4 turn player. But I'm just warning everybody.
And a high-end wide receiver.
I'm warning everybody. Yeah, 15. I'll put him at 15 very comfortably. 15. Yet everybody hears disrespect. I don't understand.
1350 is hard to get. Like, at the most, 5 or 6 guys a year hit 1350 yards. It's a lot. It's just a lot of yards to get. And in that offense, even
it's a lot of.
Seeds.
Sorry, Travis.
No, go ahead.
It's a lot. I get it. No, I get it. It's a lot to get. I guess what I'm looking at is, from what I've seen Devonta Smith do in the past with everything against him, a great defense. He's not like T. Higgins, where his team has to win by scoring 35 or more points every week. So he's not going to get those yards. I understand that. I just think with A.J. Brown gone, and yeah, I'm not naive to think he's going to get every target. That's going to be dispersed. I think he's going to be the benefactor of that, though. And I think he just had 1,000 yards in his worst possible scenario in 25. 1,300, 300 more yards doesn't seem crazy. No, I'm saying this past season was the worst possible season that he could have had, with the offensive coordinator situation, with Jalen Hurts not playing well, and still having A.J. Brown and Goddard soak up targets. I think you remove the biggest target earner in the offense, and 300 yards isn't that difficult.
Yeah, but the problem is you're not removing anything. You're just dispersing it around, and I don't know that so you're not getting more necessarily, but you're dispersing it around, but you're not just taking AJB's volume and handing a big chunk to it to Devonta Smith. You're taking a small part of it and saying, hey, this is now up for grabs. Wicks will consume a lot of it. Goddard will take a little bit of it. Barkley is going to be utilized more. You got Hollywood to get a little bit of it. And at the end of the day, you're getting an injection, but what are you losing to? Are you losing touchdowns because he's got number 1 corners on him? Does the offense fall apart under a new coordinator? Right. Hard to say what this will all look like. Let me put this up on screen real quickly. Let me see if I can get this to work. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get this to work. Let me add the draft sim. Oh, you know what? I'll have to do this another way. But I was gonna run through a mock draft scenario on my thefantasyfootballshow.com and actually rank, and I can do the rankings too. Let me see if I can figure that out. Hold on. But go ahead, hammer real quickly, and then over to Travis. And Michael from San Diego, I hope you're not taking any of this offensively. I don't mean any of it in a negative way. And I don't care that you actually.
Of course not, man. I'll take a lap during the season.
Well, there's no need to take a lap.
I'll take a lap during the season, man. That's the best part.
But the problem is, it sounds like we're on the same page, bro. That's the part that's maddening about it. But
it's just the stats we disagree on. But besides that, I think we're on the same.
Yeah,
page.
that's the part that's kind of frustrating when let me see if I can add
after Hammer talks, you got a bunch of super chats, I think. At least a handful of them.
No, I'm good. You
okay?
move
Let me do a Hammer super chats. Hammer, thank you for the Double 20s. I'm sorry I haven't got to them yet. You're on the phone. You're on the phone, so I figure you didn't mind waiting on those. The situation really pisses me off. He bet on himself and bowled out, and with grace. Talking about Pickens, would be a shame if he isn't paid. Would love to see Jerry make a good call before he goes out. And then love Smith since Bama. He's genuinely a great dude. Also hate that I have to say, but he won't produce this number one. He's already addressed all this for the number one corner on him. And I think that he'll produce, but he's gonna have he's gonna have a better road in volume and a tougher road in coverage. And will that wash, I think, is kind of Hammer's concern, right? Or will it not even wash is what he's concerned about, which is an understandable point. It doesn't mean that it's not arguable. I'm not saying that. And the problem is Hammer's opinion is, while it pisses people off, we just got to let it see it play out. But there's definitely arguments to be made on both sides that he will do better or he'll do worse. I think he'll do better, but I don't think he's going to do better by leaps and bounds. And there's been a thinking that he would get injured in this league because he's too small. He's definitely proven that to be, I think, a wrong take, right? But we'll see what happens when he's facing more aggressive situations. Does he tend to get banged up a little bit more? There's that too. How does AJB leaving Eagles affect Saquon? I think they run more. So I think Saquon has a lot more volume in general because they're changing coordinators. It didn't work last year. They completely neglected Barkley. And there were times where Barkley at the end of the year looked really strong, but they just didn't use him. They're going to definitely have to block better, and I think they will. I think everything's going to get a little bit better on the ground. But I think Jalen Hurts will still be consuming a lot of touchdown opportunities, which will hurt Barkley a little bit in that regard. But it also hurt Devonta Smith's ability to get this 10, 12, 15 touchdowns that people are expecting because they're going to run the ball through Hurts and Barkley. I mean, those are two, and Goddard with the underhand granny passes.
Goddard.
You know, so there's a lot of touchdown, I think, opportunity everybody's expecting to be there that might not actually be there. This one here from Sergio says, would you move Michael Wilson at a 2.5? Sergio, you still here? Wilson at a 2.5 for Devonta Smith. Okay, Michael Wilson at a 2.5 for Devonta Smith. I don't mind that. I think Michael Wilson, Devonta Smith, I'd rather have Devonta Smith by a hair. But we might, just so you know, just to prepare you, we might feel differently about that at the end of the year because Michael Wilson was phenomenal last year. Brissett is staying, so that could be a replication and an improvement upon last year's numbers. But I still would take the gamble on Smith for sure at the cost of a 2.5. Would you move Swift for Tootin? Not only would I move Swift for Tootin, I'd be moving my Tootin as fast as I could to accept that so that it didn't get withdrawn. So 100%. And if that's you cooking up on an idea, just and you think he'll take it, they're going to slam the door in your face. That's a great move. Husseini with the super chat. Smith isn't the problem. Jalen Hurts is. 3-4 turn is great value for Smith, but put Smith in KC, and that's in 1,400 yards. That is a great point. Let's try and get closer to the same page. If Devonta Smith was traded to New England to be the sole wide receiver for Drake May, I think he could produce 1,400 plus yard season. It's possible, and I think he could get 10 touchdowns. But situation can turn anybody into a much better player than they are. Not saying Devonta Smith isn't great, but that situation makes him very, very good. You know, this Jalen Hurts Eagles wide receiver one, situation is not as, rose petals and white doves and rainbows as everybody thinks. It's going to come with its lows, inconsistent. There hasn't been an offense that's been more boring to watch that has the most weapons we've ever seen. This is like a super team in the NBA scoring like 70 points a game. That's what we're looking at. LeBron and Joker and Devin Booker on the same team, and they can't score about 80 points a game, let's say. That's what this feels like in Philly. So A.J. Brown leaving and everyone being like, this is going to fix it. Will it, or will it make it worse? Like, Hammer's got a point. Maybe this team that struggles to do well with all of its weapons has an even tougher time when you take one of them away. I don't know. No one knows. Everyone's so assuming. Why? Because they have 75 shares of Devonta Smith in their dynasty leagues. That's a big reason why people are so aggressively against this topic. But yet you see the chat arguing with a lot of the strong-minded people. So there is a divide in the chat. But guess who's louder? The people that have Devonta Smith are the first to speak up and say he's going to the moon. Why? Because they need it to happen. Shell. Before AJ Smith was 1,200 yards, 95 catches, 7 TDs, receiver, it's AJB. If AJB's traded, I think he will be better than Olave and Wilson, but not a top guy. He's somewhere between there. I think 90 to 95 catches, 7 touchdowns, 1,200 yards. If he stays healthy, is exactly where I would expect him to be if all goes well. I'm not saying it's his total ceiling, but I'm saying that's a relatively high, aggressive, but willing to accept it, aggressive expectation for Devonta Smith solo in Philly. And it's aggressive. It's not necessarily his floor or his ceiling, but it's an aggressive lean toward what to expect if everything goes well, which is part of maybe the problem. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, and when did AJB get there? Was it 2021 or 2022? I'm not sure, but the year Devonta Smith finished 9 in PPR, wide receiver 9, he had 95 catches, 1196 with 7 touchdowns. So, like you said, can he crack a back end top, wide receiver 1? Yeah, he could get in.
Very possible.
He's not going to become a perennial wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
and it's more likely that he's a good wide receiver 2.
And it was 2022. But it's also, in my opinion, again, the same thing as Hendy. Like, can Hendy crack the top 7 running backs? Yeah, just like Devonta Smith can crack the top 7, 8, 9 wide receivers. But why are we giving Devonta Smith? Why are we giving people a pass in the industry to go draft Devonta Smith at a ceiling? And we're saying, hold off on Hendy, hold off on Harvey. Don't take these guys at their ceiling value, because it's smart to say that. Why are people recklessly running toward Devonta Smith in the mid-third to top around 3? It's reckless. It doesn't matter. It's reckless. And part of the reason we're talking about this is because the 3-4 turn, or the 2-3 turn, more so top of 3. I don't even know if it would be a 2-3 turn yet. We might get there. But especially initially, people get so excited. But we're talking 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. Where we've seen Rice climb to in the excitement, and we might see Rice level a little bit. He might climb a little higher and then maybe level in around the 24 overall. We might see Devonta Smith run right into that range. And you heard Michael, put your earmuffs on. You heard Michael on the phone line say he hesitated on Rice. He went, he was picturing Rice in a vehicle. Don't lie. You're picturing him driving around. You said,
Yeah.
Which, that argument.
I shouldn't have hesitated there. That was clear.
If you came to me and said he's going to get in trouble, then there's not much I can argue about. But I think Rice is worth the gamble. Seems like he's got his head on straight. But honestly, bro, Lad McConkey, McLaurin, BTJ, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Ted McMillan. Like, these are the names that we should be debating with Devonta Smith. And I'm not saying he doesn't fall above all of them. He certainly could. You wouldn't be crazy to say, I want him in this tier, but above all of these guys. That is a very, very logical, or I should say a very acceptable take if you disagree or agree with it. But the fact that we were even remotely debating this group of guys up here is just, that's why I'm here tonight, because I don't want, and I could be wrong. And look, this is just my opinion. Everybody's obviously going to do whatever they want. I have no control over any of that. But I'm here, at least on my platform, so that my people that want to absorb what I have to say or not absorb what, I don't care. Like, I do and I don't. I do care, of course. I love my people. But the people that don't, that are in here every night complaining anyway, that don't want to absorb this, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I hope they're in my leagues, but we can't be having messaging that says Devonta Smith belongs right in this spot right here. He has to be on this line, and I think he's got to be at the end of it, but that's my opinion. People are going to argue him all the way in here. I just couldn't believe that we had all of these names. I mean, you did correct it and say you wouldn't draft it, but that's not what you said initially. I know you said you're wrong on it, but that's, man, I don't know. This is why I'm here tonight. I knew this was going to get this kind of reaction out of people, and we'd be arguing about it for an hour when there's nothing to argue about. And my phone line's open. If anybody wants to come in here and say, Smitty, you are wrong, he deserves to be up here with JSN, St. Brown, London, and Rice, my phone line's been open for an hour and 10 minutes, and not one person that's complaining in the live chat is called. Not one. Except for Michael. But Michael obviously is more in line with what we're saying than he thought, I think. But I do think, Michael, you're off. And if you think that 1,400 yards, 1,350 and 10 is like that is going to be, that's like first to second round turn value. 10 touchdowns.
Well, I just think that's a strong possibility. Every year we have surprises. I mean, Michael Wilson, like you said, finished number 10 this year.
But he barely had 1,000 yards. Like, there's a stark difference between 1,500 and 10, which is going to garner you 1,000 or 100 plus receptions.
You got to stop. 15 on the midden was a lot. I'm with 1350 to 14, but I think a lot of people think that's too much, and that's where I draw the line. That's where I'll draw the line. I'll
14's crazy too. 14's like saying, you're right, 120 mile per hour on a 55 was a lot. I'm going to go 110.
At least Scribble has my back, I guess.
Scribble, don't. I wouldn't broadcast that.
I need somebody, man. It's better than nothing.
I mean, stick to your guns regardless. Hammer, what else you got?
Really nothing. I was just trying to see which receivers he had over him to get that number. That was all I was.
We found it.
I wasn't following second round him, so I just wanted.
I mean, I even have more receivers than this, honestly. Like, I could take Adams out because I do think he could get injured this year. I draft all of these guys ahead of Devonta Smith, except, and I'm not saying I don't draft Adams in spots like in best ball. I definitely could draft Adams over Devonta Smith, but I'm not saying it's a lock, so I'm going to take him off.
I think people could argue Ted McMillan with Smith. I'm not saying one could be better than the other necessarily, but I think they're in the
Wilson's situation worries me enough to be like, I could understand somebody going Devonta Smith, but he's still in this conversation. If Tyson got drafted to the Eagles, it's not asinine to think that Tyson would outscore Devonta Smith. I'm not saying he's a guarantee to, but for people to assume that Tyson's not a alpha.
People say it's crazy, and it's not.
Insanity.
I mean, go look. I think somebody posted on Patreon, but go look at Hines Ward talking about Tyson today or yesterday or whatever.
What about Luther Burden? You know what I mean?
I think Burden's right there in that conversation.
There's so many players that you could literally handpick to say, well, what about this guy? And somebody might say, I mean, you know how many people are high on DJ Moore this year over in Buffalo, and rightfully so. I mean, we're talking about Devonta Smith in the argument of, I would say, in between Garrett Wilson, and you could maybe vault him above Garrett Wilson if you want. But it's like Ted McMillan, Luther Burden, Garrett Wilson, Lab McConkey, McLaurin. Trying to think of this. I mean, you could say MHJ if you believe Waddle. I I mean, that's where Devonta Smith is floating with the upside to do more.
Ladd, we mentioned Ladd earlier.
With the upside to do more.
Ladd can be 100 catch.
But you know what the or the person that's upset about the conversation, or Zay Flowers, sure. The person that's upset about this conversation is they're listening to Smitty, they're not hearing Smitty, because I'm literally telling them that the ceiling's still possible, but you're drafting him after or around the Ted McMillans if you're doing it right. I'm not saying, like, if you took Hendy at number 14 overall this year and he finishes as a top 3 running back, can you say you missed on that? I mean, technically speaking, no, but you did cost yourself an opportunity to draft another player and still get Hendy downstream, thus making a better situation for even yourself, who crushed it on that. So the same thing applies here. Like Devonta Smith, if we're doing a ranking and where you're drafting them, you can't just use the line, he can do it, you'll see, and then if I'm right, you're gonna be embarrassed. I'm not gonna be embarrassed at all. If Devonta Smith finishes as the 7th wide receiver, I'm not gonna be embarrassed at all, because the thing is, I will draft him as late as I can. I also think that if he does climb out of a territory where I'm willing to even take a stab at it, that could be the one scenario where I didn't want to go high enough and I didn't get any shares and I ended up being wrong, and then I did not get to relish in it at all. But at the same time, I'm also ignoring a lot of risk, or I'm getting away with having a lot of risk taken off the board. And I still have my day in fantasy football court to say, who did I take instead of him? Because maybe that player still crushed it. And then at the end of the day, you didn't really prove me wrong. You just weren't proven wrong yourself. And we both won. Because that's typically the way people take it, is if you're saying don't draft this player here, but they deliver, well, there was risk involved. It wasn't guaranteed risk to go the bad way, but it was a lot of risk to say going at this value is risky business. Might work out, might not. And if it works out, doesn't mean you took the best path to victory. The person that took the player next to where you took Smith might have still crushed it. There's a lot of variables at play. But my job here is to try and, in my opinion, and again, it's not always right, is to call out where I think people are overvaluing situations because of news. And Devonta Smith, clearly, we proved tonight, is getting way overvalued. And it's by people that have him in so many dynasty leagues, or they have some sort of motivated agenda that they talked about it all offseason, or maybe they're an Eagles fan, or maybe they, for whatever reason, Bama, like, what, you don't know the motivation, because the person will always deny that there's a bias. They're like, no, I don't even own him. That's always the answer people give now. Like, you must have him in 10 dynasty leagues. Nope, don't have a share of them. Yeah, right. What is the underlying reason that you're trying to tell people that Devonta Smith deserves to be drafted at the end of round 2? It's crazy. And does anybody believe Jalen Hurts is? I mean, what did he finished? What is QB 9 last year? What was he the year prior to that?
Yeah, I think 8 or 9. He was Hurts was last year. He was QB 9. Actually, QB 8 or 9. The year before, QB 8. Then 2, 3, and 9.
2, 3, 9. So he's obviously had some good years. Like we all can agree that Hurts can have a baller year at any moment.
But a lot of it's running.
Yeah. So that's that.
You look at
exactly what I was just going to say. It's like, but when he does, doesn't mean he passed better. Doesn't mean he passed better at all.
Means you can football Sunday.
Stupid. Hold on.
Lowe's knows.
Come on.
Projects now means you can.
It's stupid.
Lowe's knows. Tackle.
Jeez. All right, hold on. Let me put this on screen. God, you can't even go on ESPN site anymore without having an ad blasting in your ear. It's ridiculous.
The autoplay, yeah.
All right, let's get off this screen so it doesn't keep autoplaying. Hold on. Okay, so here's the Jalen Hurts quarterback numbers for his whole career. $3,100 yards. We won't count 2020. God, can you believe his first year was the pandemic year. That's crazy. It seems like the pandemic was like 3 years ago. 3144, 3701, 3858, 2903, 3224. Now, I'm no mathematician, but my sense is that given the state of Philly's offense, the way they utilize their weapons, the consistency, or you could say lack of consistency, that they've been consistent with the last couple of years, and the brutal beating that Jalen Hurts has taken, like there's a chance that he misses some games at some point because he's constantly playing through injuries with that tush push. It's so brutal on his body. But I'd say that the good estimation here is in between 3,800, 3,700, and maybe 3,300. So let's call it like 3,500 yards. I'm not saying that doesn't afford Smith 1,200, 1,100.
Hoping for 35.
Yeah, 12, 1,100, but it's probably very unlikely that you're getting half of, even close to half of the yardage going to one wide receiver. It's just not going to happen. So it's like 1,200 is probably his max. Touchdowns, Smith had an incredible season. And what was it? What year was it? 2021?
Who?
Devonta Smith.
Hurts?
Was it 2020? What was his number?
2022. It was AJB's first year.
Yeah, what were the numbers? Missed
it. Well, I got it right here. It was he finished wide receiver 9, 136 targets was the most of his career. 95 receptions, 1196 for yards with 7 touchdowns.
I mean, don't you think, Michael from San Diego, don't you think expecting him to have like his career number replication is probably the highest expectation you're going to want? You know, like when things were great, when things were so low, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts was passing better because he would throw for 300 yards back then. Way more.
That wasn't solo Devonta Smith in 2022 though. That was AJ Brown first year.
During his peak year, regardless.
Interesting because AJB played the wide receiver 1 role in that year that he had his best year.
Right.
But
and AJB,
but regardless,
AJ Brown got there the second year of his
so you're kind of
in the
dismantling
NFL.
your own point though, because I'm trying to give you his career numbers. I'm just saying, don't you think that expecting his career numbers that he's been distanced from for a while, don't you think that that's probably where you want to set your expectation, though? That he's going to have his replicate his career numbers, his wide receiver 9 season? Like I
would put the floor right there.
No, not the floor. The like the expectation.
That's a ceiling.
You know, like you're hoping for more.
I think, I guess that's 1,200. I think, I don't know. Like I said, I'm far apart on you guys. I think he's going to get more than 1,200 yards. I don't know. I guess I do kind of agree with Scribble. Like Devonta Smith's a great player. I think people underestimate him as a player. They look at his size and, they look at his career numbers and say, I don't know.
Wide receiver underestimated.
I don't know. I don't know how.
I mean, do you have him as a top 15?
Well, we just went. We
both said it. We'd rank him around 15.
I mean, I have takes that like this. Like I just want to understand. I have like Rice as in the top 6 wide receivers. No one else really does.
And we had to walk Hammer back a little
again.
I expect like Hammer draft him at the appropriate place and then kill it if he ends up being that. Like even Hammer was a little overzealous on drafting him maybe, but like I think he's more on track of crushing the ADP. But go ahead. Sorry, Hammer.
No, I mean I think Rice finishes in the top 6 receivers this year.
Good, definitely good.
So I mean, again, everyone has different. I just wanted to hear, I guess, why he liked Devonta. I don't have any disagreement. I just wanted to see where he was coming from.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think Devonta Smith is I don't know. I think he's pretty much. I think he's underrated by most of you guys because you look at him.
Well, hold on a second. Let me get William in here real quick. William, mute yourself real quick. I'll be right with you, or whoever I'm adding. But I don't know, bro. I mean, how are we underrating him when, again, let me take Wilson off real quick.
I'm responding to what Hammer said
But
earlier about the cornerback situation. I've seen him beat wide cornerback one.
But
week
how
in,
are
week
we
out. I just don't
underrating
think
him
that's
when we were saying JSN 1, 2 Chase, 3 Nakua, 4 Lamb, not in any particular order, 5 Neighbors, 6 JJ, 7 St. Brown, 8 London, 9 Rice, then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Maybe you take one of these guys off the board. Like, that's putting him at wide receiver 14 or 15. How is anybody underrating Devonta Smith?
You have JJ.
I'm saying as a talent.
Yeah, JJ.
I'm saying as a talent, not as fantasy production, more as a talent. I think Devonta Smith's a better talent than Rashee Rice. I just think Rashee Rice is in a much better situation in fantasy football.
I mean, talent. Henry Ruggs is really talented.
You can't use talent.
Matthew Golden is really talented in certain ways.
Yeah, but they're not Devonta Smith level talented. I think that's where we have the disagreement is you guys kind of put them on the same level.
What he's trying to say is talent doesn't matter, though. Like, talent is important part and a component here, but you can't just say, let's step out of fantasy and let's talk about talent and then go back to fantasy when it's convenient. Like,
I didn't say that, though, Smith. I just said Rice was – I think he's a better talent than Rice. What I'm saying is Rice is in a better situation. What I think is when you remove A.J. Brown from that scenario, he's treated as the wide receiver 1 there. To me, there's no question. And Scribble made a good point earlier about Zay Flowers. If Zay Flowers can have 1,200 yards and whatever, what was it, 7+ touchdowns
you take him over Ravens Rice?
Well, that's what we just said, though.
No, we said that earlier. We said that earlier. I wouldn't take him in fantasy. I'm making a point that the talent and the production are going to come together.
This is what's crazy to me is, like, I don't know how else to have this conversation. I try and have it the best of my ability, but we're still arguing about where we're drafting the player. Because when I come back to you and say, okay, but are you drafting him after all these guys? Your answer is yes, I'm drafting him after all these guys. So I don't know what in the hell we're talking about. I at this point we're just completely on different spectrums.
I mean, I thought we established that a while ago. That's why I'm not really touching the top guys on the screen.
I think it's situational based. I think if you need a receiver, you should, take him. But it's just dependent.
I mean,
running back, then you could go receiver.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think it depends.
You just ignore.
I think it depends on what. I think the whole landscape matters. Like you're saying, well, if you need a receiver, take him. Like, that's pretty vague. But I mean, honestly, you can't just take a player. You got to take the value. Take the best player available. I would never recommend you draft a position. Always draft a player. That's what best player available is. And I would never just draft her. But like, what wide receiver would you draft him over? Like, do you take him after all these receivers, or you can knock one off or something, whatever you can tell us, but are you drafting him like up in this first group? Like,
no. I actually, when you brought up T. Higgins earlier, someone did. I actually think T. Higgins is more. I value him more than Smith.
I can understand
that. Jamar Chase was hurt 2 years ago. Jamar Chase was out, and Higgins was balling out. He was really good as a 1. I think I remember a week there was a game that he went off. I believe it was in Pittsburgh. He had like 2 touchdowns. He went crazy.
I think you can easily make that.
He's insane.
Devonta Smith argument. In either
and
direction.
He has Burrow.
In either, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't. Burrow has nothing to do with it. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are who they are. They are where they are, and there's no dividing up situations and trying to make excuses when none of that matters or pertains to fantasy football. It's all one part of it's one equation. Like, there's no dividing it up. You can't sit here and say, well, yeah, he's got Joe Burrow. Like, that's already known that T. Higgins comes with Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase comes with Joe Burrow. And that's the part of the argument is Devonta Smith comes with an inconsistent Jalen Hurts that can throw 99 yards in a single game. And that's it. Like, at times. He's regressed as a passer. He's definitely an amazing runner, and that's what makes him so amazing in fantasy because he can score. But he has been very, very mid to late top 10 lately, and with the unknown situation coordinator and an offensive, maybe shift toward the run, we don't know what's in store. You might get A.J. Brown and Smith, even though it was a horrible year last year. You might have Devonta Smith, Goddard, Wicks, Hollywood getting less volume through the air under the new scheme. It's hard to say. They're going to run the ball a ton, and they're going to draft a receiver, whether it's Denzel Boston later or somebody like Chris. Well, they could. I'm trying to think where they would even draft. Do the Eagles have a 3rd round pick?
They have.
Chris,
I think it's.
So Omar Cooper Jr.,
I think they have
Jeremy Bernard, Brazel, Denzel Boston.
It could take Zakarian Branch.
Yeah, Branch would be.
The Eagles
really
have
Bell.
A 1st, a 2nd, 2 3rds.
They're taking
and
a
2
receiver.
So
they're taking a receiver. And you could say that receiver's not going to threaten Devonta Smith. I'm not saying that they'll necessarily overtake. If they don't go, they could trade up, and they're very much linked to moving this.
4 picks in the top
They might
100.
very well move, and we're hearing an aggressive tone to this. They might move 23 up to get Jordan Tyson. They move to 13. They move to.
They can easily.
Whoa.
I was going to say they can easily get up
what?
to 15.
That'd be a smash move.
Yeah, it would. It wouldn't.
I'd just say, whoa, like that'd be.
It wouldn't be that
headliner.
hard either to move 23 up to 15, 13, and depends on what happens. If Mekhi Lemon gets linked a lot to the Rams at 13 and at the Dolphins at 11, there's a possibility that Mekhi Lemon could go over Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson's workout's Friday. That will determine whether he climbs boards or drops on boards. And, if he pulls up limp during it, he's falling. And I know people will be worried about him. But if he looks great, then he could climb into the number 1 wide receiver role. Like, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. You might not be able to even move up to get him if he has a really good Friday workout. But the Eagles have a 23 pick; they can move it. All right, let me go to
they should.
Let me go to DJ real quick. DJ, you're live.
Best show on the planet, Smitty. What's up, squad? I'm going to chime in real quick on the Devonta Smith. To me, if I can get him 4th round, I'm not even sure in 3rd. The 3-4 turn, sure. 5, loving him. But I think I saw Travis earlier, has the potential to be, just coming in, no AJB, between 12 and 15? I think we're establishing that.
We're not establishing 15.
And
we're saying
12 to 15?
No.
What's his floor?
No, 15 is not
max?
possible. That's what we're ripping on. Is that 15 is not even the realm of possibility. It was that
15 what?
100 yards.
I have him lower, but
No. I'm talking about range.
I know, but we're
wide receiver.
I know,
one.
but we're not putting him.
Wide receiver 1.
Oh, 15 overall wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I thought you.
Right. I'm not saying
okay,
yards.
Go ahead.
No, I said he could be wide receiver 12 to 18.
Okay, sorry, DJ.
12 to 18. With the possible, what was it that you said after that, Travis? With the possibility of a
9.
Oh, I just said the ceiling 8 to 12, so 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. 9.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
Look, it's probably 9 to 18.
But,
that's probably his range. 9 to 18. There's nothing wrong with being. There's nothing wrong with being in the middle
that's
of the wide
fine.
receiver twos. That's going to happen. There's a lot of wide receivers.
That's perfectly fine. The idea is that, if I'm understanding, is if we can get them, or if I can get them, 4th, 5th round. Love it. But I'm kind of liking Michael's arguments. Look, Devonta Smith, the Slim Reaper. Man, he's nice. So, and what I mean by that is, A.J. Brown is good. A.J. Brown does what he does well. But from a pure wide receiver standpoint, which I think will help Devontae, A.J. is not him. AJ runs these deep crosses, and he does what he does well. So when we look at his targets and what have you, it's a lot of stretch in the field. I look at DK Metcalf kind of like that, you know. So my point is saying that is, my point is saying that, Brown has a limited route tree.
I don't know about saying
Brown has a limited route tree. He had a limited route tree coming in. He's got a little better.
About saying that,
but DK Metcalf definitely has a limited route tree.
I don't know about saying AJB is not
question.
On like Devonta Smith's level. That's
in terms of route running.
I mean,
look. See, this is my point.
But I don't know that you could judge.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. What I'm saying is, we're talking about Smith becoming a number one, if you will. You know, just on pure Brian in terms of AJ's routes, those chunk plays. I mean, my God, he's getting 18, 17, 16 yards per catch, and a whole lot of targets. Be that as it may, it is in Philly's offense. So I think what we're going to find, in my opinion, is a lot more efficiency with Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith, as small as he is, he plays outside. That's rare. So, and AJ plays outside. Now, they'll line up AJ. So my point is saying that is, I think his targets definitely going to be going up.
Okay.
His efficient rating definitely will be going up, and they'll be moving them.
Pushback.
Now, I'm not going to argue a point about the 15. Well, the Hurts thing. I'm just saying, just in terms of looking at what they've been doing past 4 years. Now, if there is improvement with the new OC, all the better.
But here would be my argument, real quick. I'll push back on that. Just saying, I'm not trying to say he won't get better. I've told everyone I would raise him up to the 3-4 turn, but not every time. Like, this is not like a value to me. This is like, okay, if you want to own him, you pay the price.
I like him in the 4th and 5th.
Get him in spots, but I'm not oversaturated. Like, I don't look at the 3-4 turn and say, oh my God, it's winning a league, I'm going to grab him in every draft. That's not that. He's not that good a value there. He's decent value. But that's where you're going to have to pay to sometimes get him, because you're going to have to overpay a little bit because everyone's getting excited. But the thing I also say is that Jalen Hurts is not a very accurate quarterback on the outsides or really at all. And he's just built different. He's a fantasy football potential monster in any given season because he's so good at running, scoring points on the ground, and he can be accurate in spots. I'm not saying he doesn't go through stints of looking good and having some amazing throws after we're all ripping on him in the Patreon chat. We're like, oh my God, look at that throw. Oh my God, where's he throwing to? And then he throws 5-6 really good passes. He's an NFL quarterback that's won a Super Bowl, and he clearly has experience and comes with a lot of good. But one could make an argument that Devonta Smith isn't necessarily going to get oversaturated on the routes that you're suggesting he's going to run. He's going to be on the outside. Where are they going to move him around? Are they going to move him all over the field? That would make me more comfortable. But will we have Jalen Hurts oversaturating the same routes that are going to be consumed by Wicks and Hollywood, and we really don't see a crazy difference in his volume? He's facing number one corners. He's got a better chance of getting locked down in certain games. So there'll be 2 or 3 games a year where he doesn't do anything because of the coverage. And then on top of that, if he's on the outside or they're not moving him all around the field, which we don't really know yet, then there's a chance that Jalen Hurts still gravitates toward the routes that are being run by Wicks and other players. The report came out today that Wicks is expected to be the number 2 receiver if they do trade A.J. Brown. I think Wicks is very undervalued. I'm not saying he's A.J. Brown. I'm not saying he's better than Devonta Smith, but he might be in a position to consume a lot more than people think of the role A.J. Brown's abandoning. I don't know that they spill over to the outside and all of a sudden Devonta Smith gets 25 more receptions that Jalen Hurts was never planning to throw.
Well, you talk about talent. Wicks, just like A.D. Mitchell, those are 2 guys who have wide receiver 1 talent.
Correct.
They haven't put it together with the drops. They haven't gotten their routes right, stuff like that. All the talent is there with Wicks.
Yeah, Wicks has had some crazy.
He could demand
he
a
was
lot
good
of
in Green Bay
if it clicks.
Yeah, point taken. You know, I mean, it's the unknown. You know, quite frankly, and Wicks, Brown, whomever they bring, yeah, they can run those A.J. Brown routes. They can run them all they want to. You know, that's what they would bring them in for. That's what they do. You know, so it's a good point, fair point. I know a bunch of ways, but yeah, they would step in that A.J. Brown role, run those D routes, run the D crossings, throw some slants. Okay, run and post them up. That's not to take anything away from AJB. That's not my point, because he does what he does well. It's just the flexibility that Smith brings, I think, overall, would still keep him in that place. I'm still not taking him in the third round. You know, I mean, fourth, fifth round.
We have nothing to agree on.
You know, quite frankly. You know,
yeah.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing on it.
No,
I was just in terms of saying where I see how they, you know, just leaning in terms of.
I just can't get behind that. Like he's better.
Getting that value. Yeah. Say again.
I just said I can't get behind. Like it seemed like there was a little lean toward like, you know, AJ Brown is not as good as Devonta Smith, and I was just pushing back on that. There was a few lines that you said that pushed up against that a little bit.
Oh,
and you might have meant just route running, but it didn't.
No, I did say that.
Yeah, I
did
mean,
say
AJ
that.
Brown is.
I did say what I did say was Devonta Smith is a better pure wide receiver.
I don't know if I can get behind that, because I think it's subjective to what you see as a pure wide receiver. Yeah, some people say like AJ you run a crispy route, but does that make you a pure wide receiver? Like AJ Brown has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I value AJ Brown more than Devontae.
I mean, you definitely can. You know, look at his numbers, all of that. You know, I'm not going to argue that. Okay, well, I'll just agree with different archetypes. You know,
DJ, I kind of get. I get what you're saying. You're saying that he can run. You think he can run more of a full tree than AJ Brown is kind of what you're saying.
That's exactly.
Okay, I understand
what I'm saying. So from that standpoint, I think that's going to give Smith a little bit more wiggle room. I don't know if he's going to hit the 15 and all that, but yeah, he'll be the number one. But yeah, fourth, fifth round, if I give him sixth grade. But that's my value on him, and that's what I was saying, Hammer. Just from a standpoint of just, you know, route running, flexibility. That's it. You know, different archetypes. We know what AJ Brown.
Let me.
And if you set that down,
let me just put this into the ether real quickly. Part of the problem of when someone says AJ Brown doesn't run all the routes or his route tree's limited, I just disagree. I think AJ Brown is one of the better receivers we've seen in a long time.
They try to say that about Pickens,
but the problem is how they use him in Philly, which is how they're going to use Devonta Smith. Like this is the same team. But they ran AJ Brown. They ran AJ Brown across the middle. So it's such a less clip than they should have. It's Philly's fault. Philly didn't run AJ Brown in the right route. So I think blaming AJ Brown's and I agree with a lot of what you're saying to a degree, DJ. I'm not trying to argue with your whole point or stance. I'm just saying to pigeonhole this man, AJ Brown, into like limited route running capabilities or his route tree isn't great. That is all on Philly. He has every bit of talent and ability in the world to run every route and to put him in the best bit. But this team decided to misuse him to the point where he has a point in being upset. Like just like Pickens had a reason in hindsight to be way more upset than we thought when everything kind of came out. He goes to Dallas, gets treated right, and he's a model citizen. And I think AJB will do the same thing in New England. It'll be great for a year or two. Won't even hear a negative thing from his mouth. But I do believe that AJ Brown is not used even remotely proper, like not even close to being used properly in Philly, and then everyone blames it on AJ Brown. Like he can't run. Look how many routes he ran across the middle. That's nothing to do with him. That's why he's so pissed. I think AJ Brown is such a special specimen that is not necessarily in his full prime anymore. So it's hard to really, a lot of people are going to start arguing against this now, and I get that. But he still could have one more prime year left, I think, if he goes to the right spot.
He is still 28. He's still 28. His age is still in prime receiver type of age. So, but I just wanted to bring this up. let's say AJ Brown leaves to go to New England. Like, who's to say Philly doesn't sign someone like Tyreek Hill or someone like who's kind of similar to AJ Brown?
They will.
Diggs, Jennings,
They
Deebo,
100% will. That's my whole point. That's what I've said all night, is that they're going to draft a rookie. This is not going to be what everybody thinks it is right now. You know, they're going to bring in someone, probably going to be a rookie. It might be Jordan Tyson. Like, they're very aggressively tied to Tyson right now. Just like the Cardinals, they're still an aggressive tie to Jeremiah Love by one high-ranking decision maker in that organization. There's just a lot of, like, anything can happen. Howie's also very, very crafty, and even if, let's say, this was something that we think could happen but gets, like, not really confirmed and it dies, doesn't mean Howie's like, you know, damn it, stop saying this. You know, it's like when you're supposed to ask your girl to marry you and people are like, when are you going to ask her to marry you? You're like, shut up, it's happening. Like, Howie wants to get Jordan Tyson, and he's like, stop talking about it. We're doing it live here on draft day. If Jordan Tyson goes to Philly, I'm not saying that Jordan Tyson will for sure outscore Devonta Smith in 2026, but you certainly cannot tell me that Devonta Smith will for sure outscore Jordan Tyson. This would be a toss-up type of thing. Jordan Tyson, to me, is the next CeeDee Lamb if he's in the right spot. Now, is Philly the right spot? I don't know if I think it's the right spot because of all the reasons I'm concerned about Jalen Hurts, but what I will tell you is that he's a very easy player to throw to, and his ball tracking skills are above everyone's in the draft class. So
so he can do what AJB does
right.
in that offense.
His ability to
even
find the ball when it's thrown in an errant way, he is a remarkable player.
I almost want Jordan Tyson to go to Baltimore. I think that fit would be deadly. Like, I don't know if Baltimore is going to draft him, but
I don't agree with that at all because Lamar Jackson's only created a top 15 wide receiver once, and it was last year. Now, maybe he's turned over a new page, so you got to be worried about that. But I do think from a football perspective, it would be exciting, like if you're the Ravens for sure. But I don't know that I want Lamar in charge of making 2 top 15 wide receivers. And if Flowers is going to linger in the top 20, it'll bleed out Tyson's, production. But
all
right, boys, I'm going to hang up the phone line here. Appreciate you, William, for calling in. Is this William?
My name is actually Sean. I was in your draft the other night. I was Wiener Dog. I was the guy that was ahead of me.
Do we call you Sean Wiener or what are we calling you?
Sean, just call me Sean. The other thing's a little weird.
Wiener Dog.
All right, we'll see you later, bro. Appreciate you.
I enjoy your show, and you guys do so great, and it's always entertaining. So I appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you, Wiener Dog. We'll see you later, bro.
I'll see you later.
Got to roll with Wiener Dog. You never forget his name.
I'm never gonna forget Wiener Dog, bro. DJ, final thoughts.
Yeah, good stuff all around, man. This is why I watch. I think the biggest thing, which I agree with, is the unknown around how they are implementing the offense, notwithstanding Hurts' ability or inability to, hit the side of a barn. But I think that is probably the biggest key. It's a great point. A.J. Brown's had 1,400 yards, and fortunately that was with Hurts in 2 years. Other than that, it's been no more than 1,100.
What should concern?
No, I'm just saying in terms of the usage. The best usage that he did have was 2 year span with Philly, and I think that's what got somebody a job. They had those Philly OCs, yada yada yada. So hopefully, the OC will come in to perhaps get back to that, because that was a good year. That was a 2 years. What was that? 22, 23?
I mean, lots of unknowns though. DJ is what I'm trying to say. Like I get where people want to be.
Right. OC is the key.
I get where people want to be
on
Devonta Smith, but you can make arguments that that AJ Brown struggling so much to be the player he probably could be is a big concern for Devonta Smith trying to be the player he could be, because the offense can limit him. And I think just getting rid of one of them doesn't just make the other a elite, because there's potential volume there, an elite asset way more than the other was. Like AJ Brown, what did AJ Brown finish last year in fantasy?
He was wide receiver, I want to say 11.
So
11.
What I'm trying to say is that the expectation should be that maybe he can replace what AJ Brown's been doing. So let's say he finishes 9, 10, 11, but you're drafting him at 15 to protect yourself, wide receiver 15. And then, you go from there. But like everybody assuming that he just goes because AJB's gone, he's excelling way past AJ Brown. It's dangerous. It just doesn't protect you.
Well, you got to get him in value. Second, third, I'm not seeing it. And quite frankly, again, with the system, and I'm going to hang up. And I think that's just the key. The OC and how they're going to use them. We could go back and forth, but I think you're dead on, man. That OC and the usage is going to be very key. In terms of numbers, look, the 1,000 yards, if Smith does that, he's just sliding into that production with AG.
All right, later, DJ. Good job. Later.
Thanks,
appreciate you.
Later.
All right. Miller says, did you see me draft Austin Eckler last night? No, I would have been ashamed if I saw it, but I appreciate you. Probably you had to have.
Oh, that's Wiener Dog.
Oh, is that Wiener Dog? Okay. Miller, appreciate you. I've seen Miller super chat too then.
Yeah.
Miller to the moon. Wiener Dog to the moon.
Yeah, he's in here. Wiener Dog.
He's making a name for himself tonight. All right. Thank you, Shell. Thank you, Wiener Dog. Thank you, Husseini. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Wiener Dog again. Double super chatting tonight. Thank you, Hammer, for the double over on Rumble. Let me see if there's any other Rumble chats that have happened or anything that's might have had a spammer or two over there. Thank you, Simi Valley, for hammering that out. And Hag in the building over. Hag, we haven't seen you consistently. Keep coming back, pal. Hammer, final thoughts. You guys want to do a Dynasty show? Any topics? I know it's getting late, but
in the chat, I don't know, you can shoot this down if you don't think it's a good one, but we were talking about Smith versus Flowers versus T. Higgins in Dynasty, but I don't know if that's something you'd want to do.
Say it again.
Devonta Smith versus Zay Flowers versus T. Higgins. Dynasty.
I mean, I can maybe do Smith versus somebody. I don't know if I'm going to go Flowers and Higgins. I just don't know that anybody's going to be that. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me see if there's a couple other receivers that make sense. I mean, potentially Olave, because we're getting pushback on that. We keep doing the rookie class versus. Did we do Devonta Smith versus the rookie class the other night? Didn't we do that? Or was it another receiver? Because if not, I'd like to do that.
No, you did that.
Damn.
Sorry to cut in. You did that. I watched that show.
It seemed familiar. How about Ibuka versus the rookie class?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hammer, are you up, or are you gonna head in and call it a night?
I'm up. I think it's just like difficult to do with the rookie. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm in. I just don't know.
Okay, what about
That's right.
What about Ibuka versus another player? Let's see, Ibuka versus, and we could do Ibuka versus Devonta Smith if we wanted, but I don't want to do too much Devonta Smith talk. But I don't know. It's pretty relevant. People are obviously wanting to hear it, but I don't know if we just need to hammer or rehash everything. What about Ibuka versus? How about Ibuka versus what 2026 rookie draft pick? And we start going. We 1.1 we say Love, and then we go to 1.2 and we start going down and seeing where we slot it. Let's do that. Does that sound better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that
All right.
more.
See you guys over on Dynasty. Travis,
see you
you're
there.
good.
Bye.
Hammer, you're good. Who else is on the phone line? Michael, you got anything else real quick, Michael?
Appreciate it.
I'll
All right,
see you on the
bro.
Dynasty,
Appreciate
man.
you. All right, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chats. Appreciate the good conversation. DJ, thank you for calling in. Rockout, did you call in? I saw a missed call from Rockout. I don't know if I was looking at the screen yet. Rockout, you there? Dial into the Dynasty show. All right, appreciate you all. Let's talk Buka versus the rookie field. The entire rookie field. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Buka, see you on the Dynasty channel in about 5 minutes. Rock out, call in then.